clackers and sneakers and MTV. We called it 1990s. And my nostalgia gets an optimistic blaze as I'm harkening back to those 90s days. The earth was cooler back in 91. Music on cassette and all the rock was grunge. The house was full and family mattered. And Carlton Banks, he wore pastel sweaters. People walked a little bit taller, the sunshine just a little bit brighter. And during an encore, you held up a motherfucking cigarette lighter, not some cellular phone with an LED display. All this reminiscing makes me want to say, where did the 90s go? In answer to the question, well, I just don't know. If you hear them knocking, please let them know. Wish it was 1900. Pick it up. It'll never do. Molly was ecstasy and Courtney was Cobain. The world was taken over by Pinky and the Brain. There was 40 ounces to freedom. There was Snoop Doggy Dogg. And after school, kids would play with their pogs. There were 2 Woodstocks, and the second one went up in flames. And then the 2000s came and everything seemed to change, cause these buildings, they fell down on account of planes and nuts. And sometimes I kind of think, well, maybe it could have been us, but on that particular topic, it's probably best I digress and get back to this lecture at the end. They started reading our emails, they started tapping our phones. There's targeted killings by predator drones and surveillance that would make Orwell turn in his grave while we just buy, sell, pay, slave, and obey. I think it's about time somebody stood up to say, where did the 90s go? In answer to the question, well, I just don't know. If you hear them knocking, please let them in. Wish it was 1990. Well, maybe things ain't so different now as then. We got a war with Iraq, and we got sanctions on the Russians. Technology bubbles and recession, and the politicians, they lie now like they did back then. And they're gonna do it again in 3010, because there's something about some men and women that make them wanna win. And there's something about a folk singer that makes me wanna sing, maybe even change my tune. Who really cares where the 90s went? My friends tell me that I gotta live in present tense. Then maybe one day I could be the fucking president. And all the people of the free world I'd represent. I would feed all the hungry and the armament. And then I'd call a special session of the government. I'd say, fellas and ladies, it's time we quit being so mean. And we put all of our efforts into building ourselves a time machine. And we set that clock back 35 years to the day. And we gather up all the people and we make everybody say, this is your part. Where did the 90s go? In answer to the question, well, I just don't know.